Oh, hi, everybody. Welcome to our lesson today. Give me just a minute. I'm working on something right now. Maybe you guys can help me in just a second. We're waiting for other people to join the lesson. You guys are a little bit early. That's awesome. Oh, thanks for asking, Lexi. I'm working on that breakup letter. I know, a breakup letter. Just not seeing eye to eye on things, so I'm trying to figure out how to write it, and I'm doing it old-fashioned. I'm gonna write a nice letter. So, dear, I'm not gonna tell you guys the name. Okay. I started with, it has come time for us to break up. Should I end it there? We've been together for a while. Trying to do this respectfully. What else should I write? Well, I can't do it in person because he's far away. Texting? I don't think so. I don't think that's very, I don't know. I just want to be real heartfelt. I might do this over video. You're right, but I would like to get my thoughts down first. Thank goodness for technology, huh? What if somebody was breaking up with you or you were ending a relationship, what would you want to know? Okay, list of reasons. You do not like dogs. Okay, that's a good one. You want to move away. My whole family lives here. I'm staying. No. Yeah, he's a little bit controlling. So we'll put that. Okay, let's get started on our lesson. Thank you guys. This is a real big help with that part of it. Let me share my screen as far as my PowerPoint slide. Oh, nope. Hold on just a second. Share screen. Do this. I'm coming. Welcome everybody to our lesson. Remember to get your notebook out and something to write with, because we write down our timeline. You guys tend to write down some things that pique your interest, that you really like. And also we like to make sure we know what we're supposed to be doing and what we're supposed to know in the lesson objectives. Make sure you check your sound and your microphone. It looks like it's time for us to get started. So today's lesson is on the Declaration of Independence. Now let's do a little bit of a review back to our prior lesson. And just to give us, we work on this timeline to put things into perspective. Remember, in 1620, the Pilgrims arrived in Massachusetts. It was the first British settlement. Remember, North America is a settlement of Great Britain. In 1763, Great Britain issued the Proclamation of 1763 after the French and Indian War, where they declared that nobody could settle west of the Appalachian Mountains. Also, they had to pay for the war and pay for other things to protect the colonists across the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. In 1764 to 1774, Britain imposed a lot of taxes and laws. And remember, the term act is a tax. So the Quartering Act, the Coercive Act, the Sugar Act, the Tea Act, the Hat Act, and the list goes on and on and on. They're trying to pay for things. In that time period, there was the Boston Massacre, where the colonists supposedly shot at a British soldier, and then the British soldiers fired also, killing one person. In December of 1773, the famous Boston Tea Party, where the colonists dressed as Native Americans threw all the tea overboard into the Boston Harbor. And then in 1775, in April, the battles of Lexington and Concord, the shot heard around the world, and we watched the video on that last lesson. It was the beginning of the actual Revolutionary War. The colonists hadn't formally declared their independence yet, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. A couple of interesting facts is in 1631, the multiplication sign was invented, and that's for your math people. For our swimmers, in 1717, swim fins were invented to make us go faster. They put them on our feet, swim. In 1750, jigsaw puzzles were invented, and in 1770, thank goodness for me, the rubber eraser was invented. Remember, our mistakes lead to our best learning. So on July 4th, 1776, the final adoption of the Declaration of Independence. Remember, the representatives had come together from the 13 colonies into the Continental Congress, and they were, drafting the Articles of Confederation, and they were drafting the Declaration of Independence, and all that fancy writing. Imagine being that person. Yes, can you see how that it's hard to read? Sometimes they change some things. Okay, so what are we going to do today? We're going to examine the structure, content, and eventually the consequences of the Declaration of Independence. And what are you going to be able to do? You're going to be able to explain why declaring independence was so important to the colonists. And we always start with our review of vocabulary, but let me show you what the Declaration of Independence looks like. This is called a Dunlap broadside, and if you look way down here at the bottom, it says printed by John Dunlap. So he did the printing, and it's called a broadside because it's big and it is printed on one side. So let's go back to the regular size. You can see that it was folded. Tell me some other things that you see. Yes, United States is always written big, isn't it? Here's United States, here's United States. Why do you think that is? It signifies importance. Good, most definitely. The date is on there. Here is the John Hancock. What else do you see? Yes, excellent, Abby. If you look, when in the course of human events, if you didn't know that was course, you might be confused because it looks like an F, but it's supposed to be an S. I don't know what that word is, but there's dissolve, and look at its two F's. Excellent observation. Let's go back. I'll make parts of it bigger. We're going to look at this later. Endeavored, erected multitude of offices. Wait a minute, I'm going crazy with my. This is what this is what they came together and they drafted this. And there are some big words in here, so we're going to look at those. There's that word quartering. Yes, I saw you pick that out, Tommy, the word quartering. Yep, and we learned that last week with the Quartering Act. What was the Quartering Act? Excellent, good job. Let's go back to our presentation. So you're going to be able to explain why declaring independence was so important to the colonists. Okay, so one of your printouts in your handbook or in your workbook is the actual Dunlap broadside. And let me show you what we have here. I have it with me. It should look like this. It's going backwards. I apologize, technical difficulties, but you should have this document either on your screen or printed out in your workbook. Okay, so the beginning part of this document, it says, and we're going to go through and we're going to analyze the text, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And here are vocabulary words. And I am going to ask you to read those words and the definitions for us to yourselves for now. I'll give you about a minute to look those over. Excellent. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the same sentence with, like I've taught you before, to replace it with the definitions. So we hold these truths to be obvious, that all men are created equal, that they are given or provided by their Creator with certain rights that cannot be taken away or denied, that among these are life and freedom and the pursuit of happiness. Excellent. So we're going to do that with other parts of the text. And I'm going to show, we're going to go dive a little bit deeper into that. We've defined the vocabulary, and now we're going to talk about what it means. So in the chat box, I want you to type or raise your hand if you'd like to share with the class. The text said, we hold these truths to be self-evident. What does that mean to you? Yes, Abby, that's fantastic. Nice, Aaron. What I think it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that there are things that are just obvious. Can you give me an example of something that's obvious that I shouldn't have to tell you, or your mom shouldn't have to tell you, or you shouldn't have to be told? Yes, if the stove is on high and the burner is red, you should not touch it. Shouldn't have to be told that. I think that you shouldn't have to be told to put your towels up, but I still have to tell my kids to put the towels up. So what does it really mean? We believe that these ideas are so obvious they shouldn't need explaining. Excellent. That all men are, these ideas are, all men are created equal. All men. Interesting. I know that all men, if I said that today, that would mean everybody, all men, women, children, all men are created equal. But I know also that back then it meant something different, maybe. It might have truly meant men created equal, meaning that they're all the same. So what do you think? Yep, they're created equal, except back in this time period, women, children, there was slavery. So you have to remember that when the Declaration was written, it was the 1700s, there was still slavery. Women didn't have the right to vote. So this word men meant men, generally speaking. So it has changed over time, but I think they covered it all. All men are created equal. They are endowed, given, remember, by their creator with certain unalienable rights, certain rights that can't be taken away. So they are, all these men that are created equal are given by their creator, whoever they believe in, a higher power, certain rights that cannot be taken away. What do you think those rights could be? Excellent, Brody, that's fantastic. The ability to live your life, yes, to breathe. Yes, excellent, Clayton. Being able to go get something to eat, go to whatever church you want to. Good job, excellent. People are given by their creator whatever they believe in, particular rights that can't be denied because these rights were given to them by their creator. We're born, we can live, and I think that's what that means, is that we can eat what we choose, we can do those things, we can worship, we can drive places, we can listen to the music we want to listen to, read the books we want to read, things like that. But among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. John, what do you think that means? And we live our life, that we're free, and we can, yes, that's very good. The rights that are given to us by our higher power that can't be taken away are our ability to live our life, to be free, to have freedom, and the ability to pursue our own happiness. Yeah, I think that, yeah, and excellent, James. In current public in the news and things that are happening, I think that there's some things going on right now about life, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness, and people being denied that, and all men are created equal. So what this tells me is that the Declaration of Independence and ultimately the Constitution that runs our country is ever changing. It is constant. It's a live document, so it still means something today. Excellent, you guys. So real quick before we go to our discussion, I just modeled and we did it together, how we're going to look at the Declaration of Independence. So right now you're going to go into your assigned breakout rooms, and those are the breakout rooms we used last week. And you're going to, when you jump into those breakout rooms, you're going to see a portion of the Declaration of Independence. And with your group, you are going to analyze it like we've done here. You're going to decode it. You're going to look at the vocabulary that you don't know and define those words. You are going to put what the reading says into your own words so that the class can understand it. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss those parts of the Declaration of Independence, and we will discuss it, and then we'll wrap up this part of the lesson about the content and the design of the Declaration of Independence. So jump to your breakout rooms. I'll be going in and out of each breakout room, and then I'll bring you all back together in a minute. Okay, now that we're all back together and we've gone over the different parts of the Declaration of Independence, you can see that the Declaration of Independence is almost written just like one of your FSA writings, where you have an introduction, that's that all men are created equal, or we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. That's like your intro. And then you go into all the reasons why the colonists, the 13 colonies, wanted to break up with, yeah, Abby, that's exactly right. I was writing a breakup letter to go into this lesson. Nice connection, nice connection. And as you can see, we will, then the Declaration of Independence lists the reasons why the colonies wanted to separate and be independent of Great Britain. And then it closes with signatures. Excellent job. Let's look at our discussion. What did declaring independence say about the importance of the rights of the colonists? Give you time to think. Okay, Alex, go ahead. Yes, so thank you for tying in last week's discussion about all those taxes and how they did, that was taxation without representation. You used that term, fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up. So all of those representatives thought they were being taxed without their say. And that's probably what made them the most mad, is that they didn't have a say in what was happening. And so all of these taxes happened, and the people thought that it was their right to have a voice in the government and the things that were happening to them. Excellent job, Alex. Yeah, exactly. If somebody, Caroline, if somebody, told you you couldn't move somewhere, that would drive you crazy. I see that. And so the king said, you can't move over there past the Appalachian Mountains. So you can't set up a farm. It doesn't matter how many people are moving to your town, you can't move away. Yeah, and so the people were upset about that. Very good. Yeah, I think that the people believed that Britain was becoming like a bully. You're exactly right, Jonathan. I think that they were, bossing the colonies around, telling them what they can do, and the colonies that had it. Good job. Excellent. Okay, so your assignments, you're going to choose one of the following. The first assignment is to answer questions. And then the second assignment is to create a photo collage of words to symbolize pictures of that symbolize the words from the text that we studied, the Declaration of Independence. And then assignment 3 is you can do it as a group, or independent is to create a dramatic reading of the Declaration of Independence. And there's some examples there for you to use for what a dramatic reading is. That's all in your online course. Now, let's jump to what's coming up in the future. We looked at the past, we looked at the present, which was the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776. And so the Revolutionary War actually happened from 1775 to 1763. The Treaty of Paris, which ended the war, happened in September 3rd of 1763. The United States Constitution, as we see it today, the bones of it, without the amendments necessarily, and we'll talk all about that, was ratified in 1787. And then we will talk about westward expansion, get into the Civil War. So just to give you an idea, carbonated water, or Coke, that led to Coca-Colas and Sprites and things like that. Fizzy drinks, 1767 was invented. The cotton gin was invented in 1793, and we'll see why that was so important coming up. The bicycle, for those of you that like to get around by bicycle, 1817, and 1822 was the first programmable mechanical computer. Maybe somebody should research that. Okay, so let's review what we did today. Let's go, I'm going to make myself bigger. Okay, so let's review what we did today. We talked about the events that led up to the Declaration of Independence, and that was the gist of our lesson last week. And those were all of those acts, and the colonists got mad, and their representatives wrote the Declaration of Independence. And in the Declaration of Independence, it listed, it had an introduction, the reasons the colonists wanted to be independent of Great Britain, free from their mother country, and then they all signed it. So it was formally adopted on July 4, 1776. And the Declaration of Independence, I think the important part about that is that the content shows why the colonists felt like they were being mistreated. And we talked about and we analyzed all those parts. You guys did a great job today. I appreciate it. Make sure you get in there and do those assignments. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. If I'm on, you can always link me through Microsoft Office or through Zoom and try to connect with me. You can text me, you can call me. My hours are on the screen. Again, if you have any questions, go back over this lesson. I appreciate you guys so much. Have a great week and weekend, and I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye, everybody.